consider this to be a place to buy land if you're looking for land in the area. But anyway, so yeah, narrow winding road, lots of turnouts and pullouts, but I only saw one other car coming toward me. But yeah, let me go see if I can go through this tunnel. I don't know, am I gonna fit? I don't know, I might have to back up and like turn around. But I think after this, I don't think I'm gonna go to the I don't think I'm gonna go to the next hike. I think I'm going to just kind of go through here and turn around. But there should be a tunnel up here. But yeah, this is the Hammers National Recreation Area. So we're out of the reservation and now we're into the public land. But it is a one-lane road. And if a car comes toward me, they're gonna have to like get out of the way because it's a lot easier for them to move than for me. I can pull over here, for example. And I think there should be a tunnel over here. This is fun. It's kind of like knuckle crunching. I don't know. I'm like, this is a bad idea. But yeah, just be careful, rock slides and all that good stuff. But no parking. Oh shit. Okay, there's a tunnel. Okay, so let's go through a tunnel and then turn around and go back. So yeah. Oh wow, this is great. Who knew? This is absolutely beautiful. This is like, oh my god, potholes. Is this part of the Rio Grande Gorge? I have no idea. But anyway, this is much easier to go through than the Custer State Park. But yeah, watch out for potholes and cars and animals and all that good stuff. But yeah, let's go through this tunnel here. Hopefully nobody's coming toward me at 100 miles an hour. But you can pull over. Oh, this is great. Look at this. Blown away by this. What a beautiful, beautiful part of New Mexico. I'm going to turn around here. It's 36 minutes to keep going to the hiking trails, but I'd actually rather come out here with my friend who's got four-wheel drive. Sorry, I can't speak. Motor vehicles prohibited between Forest Road 376 and River, next 11 miles. Motor vehicles prohibited. Well, I guess you can't drive any further, but I'm going to turn around. Wow. This is the Hammers watershed. Who knew? This is absolutely stunning. I'm just blown away. Okay, let me try to do a 117-point turn and get out of here. All right, I just turned left off the highway. This is 290. It is 25 minutes to go 10 miles, which automatically tells me the road is not maintained and it's probably a washboard road, which I don't want to go down. I don't think Prudence is ready for washboard roads, but oh, there's a condor. There's some sort of bird flying over my head. Anyway, so there's a winery 3 miles down the road here. It's 10 miles to the trailhead. But like I said, I think I'll come back here when it's a little cooler later in the year with my friend who has a four-wheel drive. But it's beautiful out here. I tell you something, I really had a wonderful day so far. This is amazing. Not a lot of people out here. Don't come here. It doesn't exist. This is my secret place. I'm just kidding. It's beautiful. Definitely a hidden gem. You can't really get to it. You have to go down toward Albuquerque to Bernalillo and then over, as if you're going to Bandelier. But like, then you go a different way from, instead of going to Bandelier, you go the other way. So there's really no way to kind of get over these mountains easily except going the long way around. But the long way around is a beautiful drive. So, like I said, I'm going to see how far this road goes. I'll go check out this winery. I don't drink, but maybe they have some cheese. I'm like, anyway, but yeah, I mean, for $12 is all I spent, and then I bought a t-shirt. So, like, for entry fees, definitely worth it. For that hike. The lady goes, yeah, I don't know about the other hikes, but I know this hike. But yeah, no, that was really great to like go do a 2.5 mile hike. It is a little hot outside. I really don't want to be out here any further. It's already 1 o'clock. So I think what I'll do is go check out this and then I'll turn around to the winery. This is beautiful though. I'll turn around to the winery and then I'll come back to my friend's house in Santa Fe because it is Friday and tomorrow I'm just going to lay low at the house. He's got to work in the morning. And and then I think Sunday we're going to go check out some other areas that I've never been, that I don't think he's been to either. But just getting some fresh air, and also finding beautiful places to cry about losing Jeff. You know, it's just like, oh, this beautiful mountain, let me pull my eyes out for 10 minutes. So I'm still grieving, and I just can't live in a hole. You know, I have to get out and try to manage my life as best as possible given everything that I'm juggling. And I think everyone needs to kind of do that. If somebody gets mad at you because you're living a little bit what looks like more enjoyable life than theirs, then just don't even pay attention to it. Like, acknowledge it and then move on, because they're probably miserable with their own selves, and they probably have options to make things a little better, and they choose to wake up and be miserable and spew hate. Don't be those people. You know, if you don't have the means to change or fix it, there are organizations, there are groups, there are support, there is therapy, there are avenues that are available if you seek them out. If you don't know what to seek out, then that's where the internet comes in, or that's where YouTube comes in. You know, there's ways to get information if you are wanting to change your situation and you don't know how, or if you're stuck in a situation and you don't think you can get out of it. You know, there's a lot more hope in the world than I think people want to realize, and I think in this day and age, you know, we've got to just kind of be proactive. It doesn't mean you're not going to have bad days, or you're not going to have a day where you just want to sit and cry. I just sit and cry all day sometimes. I miss Jeff, and sometimes I'm in pain and whatever it is, physically or emotionally, and I just, shut everything off and just kind of have a me day. But then I pick myself up again the next day and go, you know what, I'm going to go find somewhere with high elevation and go look at the view. You know, that kind of thing. Anyway, okay, so yeah, just getting through this. Is the winery right there. Well, that's pretty. There's a camper van. It's a tiny winery. Hang on, let me turn around. Oh, this is Ponderosa. This is cute. What a cute little town. Yeah, 21 minutes to go 7 miles. That tells me that, yeah, the road pretty much ends from being paved. Let me check out the map here. Yeah, it's after going through this town, it just gets into a dirt road. So I'm going to turn around at the end and then go back. I don't think the winery has anything but wine. It doesn't look like it has like a little cafe or anything like that. I'm not even hungry. I've got food in this little fridge here that I can eat. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, if you have no means whatsoever to change your situation, and you have no hope, and you have no one to assist you or help you, and you are truly stuck, then, I really do hope that there is something that can help. If you do have the means, like my oil and gas friends or former friends that just bitch and whinge and moan about their lives, and yet they have all the means in the world to change their situation, but they just want to wake up and, have a pity party of one, then I'm like, I can't do anything. I can't fix your situation. I will be there to support you. But after a while, it's like, okay, but you have the money and the means and the time to make things better for yourself. You have options that other people don't have. And I think people just kind of get clouded about what they can and cannot do. My control of things that I can control is very important to me. The things I can't control, like pain, suffering, loss of friends, the weather, gas prices, I'm not going to pour my 100% daily energy into worrying about that. I will acknowledge it. I will deal with it, but I'm going to try to offset the stuff I can't control with the things I can, which is getting up and getting out in prudence, go find some beautiful place to drive to, go do a gentle hike, go talk to locals, learn some things in a museum. Like, those are the things I can control. The rest of the stuff, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. It's always going to be there. We're always going to be at the mercy of choices by other people. So it's just a matter of how you react to it and how you incorporate that into balancing your own life. And none of this costs any money. You don't have to be super wealthy. You don't have to be of great means to figure out a way to balance, so that when you are dealing with the bad, you know that there is something good to look forward to, like a hike or a good home-cooked meal that you found a recipe on the internet, and you went to a farmer's market and got some cheap vegetables, or your neighbor gave you some extra ingredients, right? You can you just have to, you know, it's just, I mean, I want to scream and cry every day about losing Jeff, but I have to function. I have to take care of my daughter. I have to take care of myself. I have to be manageable around friends, you know, and not burden them with things that I'm just losing control of. Like, I have the ability to control. You have the ability to control. And you don't have to be of great means to do it. I've been at rock bottom, down to my last $20, stuck in a parking lot with my 4-year-old after losing my house in a hurricane, unable to get out of the parking lot because it cost $9 to pay for the parking. So I had to wait until 7 p.m. when the gates opened, and she wanted to sleep in the car with the air conditioning on, and I'm like, like that was in 2016. I'm like, I am at rock bottom, and then, you know, but am I going to sit there and cry in the parking lot, or am I just going to quietly wait until 7 p.m. to get out of there so I don't have to pay the $9? I mean, that's the thing. Like, I could have freaked out and made a whole big long stink to the gate attendant, who would have said no anyway and held everybody up in the line to get out. Or I could have just let my daughter sleep, you know, enjoy sitting in the air conditioning in the car on a hot August day, and just, you know, just kind of wait. Because I was in control of my time. I was not in control of the fact that I had lost everything in this hurricane, and I was down to my last $20 because, you know, waiting on insurance and waiting on FEMA and all this stuff. And my daughter still wanted to go to the museum. She still wanted to play, and I thought we could last until 7 p.m., but she was done at like 4. So we sat on the top deck of the parking lot, and I turned the car on. We sat in there. I watched some YouTube while she slept, and we waited. And I, you know, didn't freak out. I didn't, you know, totally go crazy and, you know, cry and all this stuff, because that would have upset her. And she would have been upset. She would have thought it was about her. That's what kids do. They think it's their fault. And I just had to say, okay, I'm going to step back and assess the situation. Down to my last 20. And lo and behold, right as I was leaving the parking lot, I get a call from the University of Houston, and they, on speakerphone, the whole department was like, hey, we got your resume. Can you come work for us on Monday? And I was like, I'll start Tuesday. Never start a job on Monday. I'm like, I'll start Tuesday. And I ended up working there for almost 2 years, and I loved it. But that's the thing. Had I freaked out, had I started crying, had I thrown my phone across the parking lot, had I done any of that stuff, I would have missed that phone call. I would have not been in the mood to talk to anyone. I would have sent it to voicemail, and I certainly wouldn't have been appreciative of the fact that this department really wanted me to come work for them. And I loved working there. Absolutely loved working there. And yeah, and I ended up leaving for a higher paying job, but I was just like, I really loved working at the university. I managed work-study students, and I got to bring my daughter to work a few times, and it was great. But again, if I had just gone down the freak out mode, it would have been a completely drastically different day. And thankfully it wasn't. Thankfully I was okay. I was composed because I could control my time. I could control my decision at that moment. And the best decision was to wait. So anyway, so now I'm at the end of this road. Where the hell I'm going? This road is actually paved. There's a little lake there. It's empty though. There's no water out here. This is a 1-lane road. I need to turn around in a second. I should not be all the way out here. This is 1 lane. I have 14 minutes to go 3.5 miles, and I don't want to go. I guess, let me go down here. I'll go anyway, and I'll find a way to turn around. I don't want to, yeah, there should be some pullouts. This is all public land down here, so there should be like camping areas. Okay, so now the pavement ends. Okay, I can turn around up there. Yeah, this is a little sketch. That's not too bad. But I am going to pull over. I'm going to use the restroom quickly and then turn around and go back to Santa Fe. Anyway, so that was fun. That was a really great experience. This isn't too bad, but I'm going to come back with my friend with the 4-wheel drive, and we're going to do something proper. I'm going to go pull over here and then do 119,000 point turn. So I'm going to pull over here. This is great. No cell reception out here, but I'm going to stop and eat my lunch, pee, and then head back to Santa Fe. So I'll see you on the next one. Bye.